Social media has been reshaping how we take the news, how we get more information, and many people are shifting away from traditional mainstream media to people online, individuals who are providing content online on multiple social media platforms without any bureaucracy, raw, unfiltered information. One of these people is a young British man, the Saviour. He goes by the name of the Saviour with a network called S2FUncensored. Has about 500,000 followers on X and other social media platforms. Very active. He goes to the streets and speaks to people and brings the news as they are for people to take them and make their own mind up. The Savior, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me on, man. It's honestly a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, no, no problem whatsoever. I mean, I've been following your work for the past couple of years. You've been one of those people who really, firstly, very quick to provide the information online, raw, unfiltered. I've monitored how you were covering, especially the genocide in Gaza, not only with direct information, but you've been also on the streets. You're constantly on the streets, like interviewing people, getting direct information from them, and providing it to the people. And the first thing I wanted to know, if you wanted to give to our viewers and listeners, is what made you come online, and what's motivated you to focus on current affairs and bring people the latest news as they are without any sort of interference from mainstream media?
I'll be honest. I was just a normal guy using Twitter. This was probably back in November 2022. I'd say that's when I first signed up for Twitter, and I was following a lot of what was going on with the Russia and Ukraine war, and I used to see a lot of stuff on the mainstream news, and I used to think, oh, there must be more behind this. So I started looking into what was going on over there, and I was making some posts about what was going on over there, but I only had about 80 to 100 followers, like a very small following. But when I was sort of looking for news about what was going on over there, I noticed what was going on over in Palestine, mainly like the West Bank. And this was, a few months before October 7th, but I saw loads of, things that Israel was doing to the Palestinians. And then after October 7th, after, the Nova Music Festival, I started seeing like a huge propaganda campaign coming from Israel, trying to paint the Palestinians in a bad light. So then I just naturally just started posting loads about what was going on over there. And then my followers went from about 500 at the beginning of October to like 50,000 by the end of October, because I'm not sure, I was just getting, I was literally sitting there all night just posting breaking news, and then it just sort of grew from there. Yeah, it wasn't really like a plan, but it just sort of happened. So I thought after I got some followers, I had like a responsibility now, so just carried on doing it, I guess.
That's amazing. So 50,000 from then onwards, now almost 500,000 you have on X. And it began, so you primarily got the momentum after the Gaza genocide began, which was a similar period to also when I started to have more following too, because I think people were very thirsty to get that information. All of the information was so propagandized, if that makes sense, and you had a lot of media bias. So it shows you that there's a lot of interest with people to get that raw information, and without any sort of bias and without any propaganda. So apart from the Gaza genocide, and I think that's something very interesting. You go to protests, you go to certain protests regularly, and you meet with people. For example, I saw some of your videos with Tommy Robinson or Stephen Yaxley Lennon or whatever his name is. I remember you went there to one of the protests. I reposted actually one of the things that you were posting at the time, because you saw many people raising the Israeli flags. I remember in that protest, and one of them like went viral when you were asking the guy like, why are you raising an Israeli flag, and you weren't getting you weren't getting a straight answer. How did that feel, and how does it compare? Because he was being like quite hostile to you, but you kept your composure, you stayed calm, which is, you know, very honorable, and you have to really. But how did you find that from online posting? Because you still do it to this day, and is that something that you're planning to continue doing as well?
What am I planning to continue, the online posting or the street
Yeah,
visits?
no, both of them, both of them. And what's the difference between them? Because different being with people on the ground. So how does it differ? How do you find it, especially with like people who have violence in their blood, really?
Yeah, I mean, it is a very different experience, I guess, you know, rather than posting something from home where you don't actually see, you know, say, for example, people are commenting on the post, if it's just a Twitter post, and you don't really see who's behind these sort of comments. And when I went out into the streets, I mean, it is very rare that I don't really see a lot of Zionists out on the streets, but obviously that special occasion was like a big get together of loads of these like Tommy Robinson supported type of guys. And yeah, the energy was completely different. It's like they was all in their comfort zone then, because even there's some people I interview in the streets, like for example on the weekend, and then you can tell that they've got these thoughts behind them. They want to say more, but they don't feel comfortable. But I think where they was all there together, they was just letting loose. Just the real colours were sort of coming out. But yeah, I'm not like intimidated or anything to go up to them. You know, what's the worst they're gonna do?
Hmm. No, no, I think it's really interesting because at the end of the day, you want to see people and let them speak. Because to be honest with you, you were letting people speak when you were out with them. It wasn't like there was anything that you were trying to push or whatever. You're simply asking direct questions. Did you have any issues with online posting? Because I mean, with the suppression that's happening on social media, I faced that as well. You notice that some information gets more filtered or sometimes shadow bound. How does that go with you, especially on X?
Yeah, especially X. I mean, for an account my size on X, the views that I get are honestly shocking lately. I mean, I post something on Instagram, I've only got like 35K followers on Instagram, but most of the time my videos are getting more views on Instagram than they are on X, and that's compared to 430K followers. And yeah, I'll say you might not notice. So when I first started posting on X, I was actually an anonymous account. I never used to show my face or anything. And where my account started growing and all these Israelis, they started to hate my page. They actually doxed me, found out who I was, started posting my picture everywhere. So then I just thought it's something they were trying to use against me to stop me from posting. But I thought that's not going to stop me. So I just changed my picture to my face. And then from there, I just thought, you know what, let's just take it a bit further. Let's actually go out and onto the streets and try and get some interviews from because we see a lot of like experts talking on the subject, for example, but we don't actually get to see what the normal average person thinks about what's going on. So that's why I thought it'd be a good idea to start the show.
Yeah, so they thought they're going to stop you by by releasing your
Yeah,
picture.
it just made it
Yeah,
worse.
yeah, but absolutely no, really. I mean, some people are more comfortable in not having their, you know, identity out when they speak about certain things, and I think, you know, sometimes some people might want to guard their privacy for whatever reason, and but posting with yourself, you know, it has a different impact on people. Even though I used to like your picture, by the way, that picture you had on X, it was really cool. I remember you edited a video back then, that I had, and they also try that with different people. So it's really good that you continued down that path, although they try and intimidate. Again, they use so many tactics, like, you know, sometimes death threats or whatever online. But especially on X, they have a lot of bots over there and people pretending to be other people. They have machines, they have systems. They can sell an individual or an organization like 30 or 40,000 users maybe, who will pretend to be people, But then when you look into it slightly, you realize there are bots. So it's really, really intense on X. I notice more than other platform. So that's from the Zionist side, which is not surprising. What kind of feedback do you get from? Because you obviously started to gain kind of more following after the genocide started in Gaza. What kind of feedback do you get from people who are genuine followers, who want to read and see what's happening?
I mean, the feedback's great. I mean, if it wasn't for those type of people that are commenting and showing support, then I probably wouldn't have continued. The amount of times my account's been shadow banned and I'm getting next to nothing views, but then the people that it is reaching, say if it's only reaching 2,000 people, those people in the comments are happy that I'm posting. So it's like it gives you purpose. They sort of help you get through tough times on X, because also I had another time when the Israelis, they was flooding my account with bots like you just said. But what they was doing, I'd post something and within 2 minutes it would have like 1,000 to 2,000 likes. They were sending like bots, and then what they was doing is they was reporting the post saying that I'm like cheating my engagement and stuff, and then getting the post removed. So they play a lot of dirty tactics, and if it wasn't for the people that are actually good people and support, they don't support a genocide, then I suppose I wouldn't have probably carried on.
And I think that's an example, really, because so many people, and I heard that from many people who post on different platforms too, who face that same element of shadow banning. I face that too. I mean, I think it's something that's constant, that you have certain periods where you feel like there's an element of suppression and there is algorithm manipulation. Although some people, would like to portray it as if it's natural, but it isn't really. But I hope that sends a message to the people who are actually out there to continue, because many people stop. Like I know some people who will get some information shadow banned and they wouldn't necessarily have a lot of followers and think then, well, what's the point? But then when you see people, well, like yourself, over 400,000 followers on X, and I know some people with like 1 million followers, and like you said, their posts will only go for 2,000 or 3,000 people viewed. I get something similar, although I don't have as many followers on X, for example, but you will see a difference in how far your post goes, which proves that these platforms, although they're meant to be there for us, to push for the alternative media, the facts on the ground, they still manipulate them. And it looks like it's going to be a challenge that's ongoing, with now more companies being taken over by Zionists. But what's most important, in my opinion, is for people like yourself and other content creators to continue posting and continue sending the message, because the people need to hear it. And the people are hungry and thirsty for the information that's on the ground, because even 2 years down the genocide, for example, if we're only talking about Palestine and you were also talking about Russia, and there's a lot of manipulation there, mainstream media is still pushing for the propaganda, and they're still being biased, and they're still suppressing the voices that really matter in relation to all of the affairs that we're talking about. We'll wrap it up here. Saviour, thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure having you on. For my viewers and my listeners, I will post links to the accounts of Saviour, S2FUncensored, and Saviour on X, to follow him. He has a lot of some of the latest information that happens, whether it's in Palestine, other locations as well. And I hope you enjoyed this short podcast, and I will see you soon in the next podcast.